All right. Now, as the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh continues and progresses, Azerbaijan's army has been liberating certain areas. Here, joining us now to discuss the liberation of those villages further by Azerbaijani forces against Armenia is Ms. Saida Zaidova, who is a political analyst and also has roots in Azerbaijan. Saida, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, as per this map, explain to us first, what is the recent update in the area? Which areas were occupied by Armenia and which have been liberated by Azerbaijan recently, in recent days?
Yeah, we talked with you last time about the liberation of the areas. Last time I announced that the Jabrail, the Zengilan, has been liberated from the Armenian army. And of course, there are some recent news that I would like to announce that President Aliyev announced yesterday that one town and also 21 villages in the south Nagorno-Karabakh has been liberated and under the control of Azerbaijani army, and included this number, the liberation of this, the villages increased to 125, since the 27th of September. So President also explained that there are some military equipment that found that used by Armenian army, including 39 tanks, which is in use, and these are the Azerbaijan army got the control of that, using against Armenian army. And also, according to the sources, that in the south Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian forces got injured a lot more than 10,000 Armenian forces got injured, and they got heavily weakened in the area.
All right. So tell us about the significance of these regions. Certain villages, we heard it's been over, let's say, 30 years since these have been occupied by Armenia. In that time, we've heard stories of refugees from these areas. What can you tell us about that? The refugees who had to relocate from these areas, and how important this is for them to finally be able to relocate in their original homeland.
Of course, it's very important to, for the people, the refugee people, to go back to their land. If I request second map from my...
Can we show them the second map?
Yes, if I show the second map, that there's some important region I would like to talk about. The darkest area, you see Tartar, Kojali, and Shusha, and Khojakendi. These belong to the Nagorno-Karabakh area. And the blue one, which is outside of Nagorno-Karabakh and occupied by Armenian forces, which is Kelbejer, which has the highest number of gold reserves. When we come to the Lachin, which is there's an important corridor there, and also Gubatlı, which is still under the occupation of Armenia. Coming to the Zengilan, which has been liberated by our Azerbaijani army, including Jabrail and Fizuli. And also Adam is still under the control of Armenian.
That is interesting. I would like you to first start off with explaining to us this Agdam. How has that been occupied by Armenia? Because you look at that, the gray area over here, and this has been, you're saying this is part of Azerbaijan. But the blue ones here are Armenia. So how have they been able to hold on to Agdam for so long?
This is the genocide, let's say that. This is the forces that come into the Azerbaijani land and occupying. This whole area has been under the occupation of Armenian forces. But the gray ones, the dark ones, are the one, it's called Nagorno-Karabakh. They are still, all of the 20% of this land, which is this map, is under the control of Armenia. All these are under the occupation. So, but this blue one are not called Nagorno-Karabakh. This is the outside of Nagorno-Karabakh, which doesn't belong to Nagorno-Karabakh. Belongs to it's a region, independent region, outside of Nagorno-Karabakh. Of course, that I would like to mention that, in Tartar, there's still fight going on, and the Armenian forces targeting civilians heavily in the area. In Shusha, we still, the Azerbaijani army inside the Shusha. Hopefully, we will get good news from Azerbaijan soon. And Khojakendi is the same, but Khojali is very important.
Khojali is very important. Please do explain to us about
Khojali.
I mean,
Armenian forces did a genocide in the area in 1992, which killed 613 Azerbaijani people, 106 is a woman, and 63 is children, which is we call
it absolutely horrific.
Is horrible. And this is the recent update. And of course, Armenia is trying to do ethnic cleansing in the area, which is the fact that the Armenia against Azerbaijan has been indicated in the first paragraph of the peace resolution, which adopted by the Parliamentary Assembly of European Council in 2005. So that they declared that they want to do ethnic cleansing in the area. Let me come to the area one by one, explaining that in the Kelbecer, there were, before 1992, there were 93,000 people live there. In Lachin, there was 78,000 people live there. In Gubadlı, 41,000 people. Zengilan, which is in the south, 45,000 people. Cebrail, 81,000 people lived there until 1992. When we come to the Fizuli, 133,000 people live there. And coming to the Ardahan, which is the highest number, is 203,000 people has been forced to leave their motherland to go to the other cities of Azerbaijan, including Baku, not the other country, by the way. So this is in total number of this area, which is 673 people has been forced to leave the area. When we come to the darkest color of this map, which is it's still high number, which is 185,000 people has been forced to leave. Including all this, there are more than 1 million people has been forced to leave the area. Unfortunately, we're still fighting to get our land back, and hopefully we will get our land back. And yeah, that's the recent refugee situation.
So that is, of course, a very unfortunate and very terrible situation that so many amount of people have had to face in these areas that were occupied by Armenia. What can you tell us about?
Not only Armenia, by the way. There are still, like, there are still terrorists in the area which is trained in Syria and Iraq.
Mercenaries.
Exactly. And sent to the area with the Secret Service of France. This is the fact. And
so European powers are complicit in sending mercenaries to these areas.
Exactly.
That is quite a fact to be knowing about.
Yeah, and also there's the terrorist organization called Asala is in the area, heavily attacking civilians, unfortunately.
Right. So speaking of that, to your point actually, so what would you ask somebody who has roots in Azerbaijan and is aware of this ongoing situation? What would you like to say about the role of international organizations in this? Let's say the OSCE, the Minsk Group, the United Nations Security Council. What has been the role they've played in this so far? How do you perceive it as an Azerbaijani? How do you perceive their role in this? And what do you think they could be doing further on?
I mean, we're not moving at all with the international organization. There were so many organizations that are trying to bring peace and resolution in the area. For example, Minsk Group, as you mentioned before, which is co-chaired by France, United States, and Russia. Imagine Russia and France are the sympathizer of Armenia. How can you bring a peace and resolution into area, which is impossible? And I strictly mention that point that Turkey has to sit on the table as a co-chair country. And then there will be a peace, hopefully, in the area. Of course, there are all attempts to resolve the conflict. Is Madrid principles, including Zurich Protocol, including renewed Madrid principles, and talks in Kazan. They're still on the paper. So there is no peace because of Armenian aggression, and they are breaking the rules. They're breaking the human rights, and they acting this is the act of genocide and the war.